Welcome to the Swac Zone, a show that's dedicated to the ins, the outs, the ups, and the downs of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. If it's good, we'll talk about it. If it's bad, we'll talk about it. If it's happening, we'll talk about it. The Swac Zone, only on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Let us join this week's episode. And welcome to the Swac Zone. Radio guy Dr. Mike Prince here with you. As you know, we come to you each and every week. Our distinguished guru and let's just say the dean of OU, none other than Mr. Dr. Goodright, never wrong except for Super Bowl picks, Coach Van Pettaway. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Doc. This is another great day that he's given all of us, and we just need to be happy and rejoice in it and move forward in it.
Yeah, moving forward, we shall, Coach. We both had the Eagles. The Eagles landed a little flat, but a very entertaining game. You just can't give Mahomes too many inches and opportunities to beat you down in it, huh?
Right. He's a phenomenal talent, and I guess the sad part about it for all of us, with the way he structured his contract, he can keep a lot of those pieces around him. So we might be looking at a little mini dynasty here.
Well, you know, they were talking about that, and, of course, that's what Tom Brady was known for. He left a lot of money on the table so he could get moving parts around him, which kind of puts us in a new window of today's quarterbacks or, let's say, star players. These guys kind of put that theory out the window. Grab all you can while you can and let everybody else get in where they fit in.
Right. But that's a new concept, and hopefully he'll be setting the trend that some of the other QBs will look at, because they can get the bag, but if they don't have the structure around them, just having that bag is not going to mean success.
No doubt about it. Well, speaking of success, Coach, we've had a topsy-turvy weekend in the world of Southwestern Athletic Conference basketball on both the women and men's side. Seems like no one wants to just be that lead dog, if you would. And when it looked like things are shaping up, they go another way. But nonetheless, we got some more things to talk about from last week's performance.
Oh, yes. I think this is going to be a week-to-week process, especially on the men's side. And then at the same time, for everybody chasing Jackson State on the women's side, it's going to be the same way. Well, speaking of Jackson State, we'll get started with them. The number one team on the women's side, they had the Florida Swing. They started out in Tallahassee last Saturday, and Jackson State won that game 68-53. They showed their dominance. And then down at Daytona Beach, Bethune-Cookman played host to Alcorn State, and they won that game 68-60. And then out in Texas, Grambling State in Grambling, Grambling State played host to Texas Southern, and they won that game 63-57. And then the game of the week that we thought would be the big sell on the women's side, your Panthers went down to Baton Rouge, and they played Southern, and Southern won that game 69-52. I guess Coach Pugh there is no place like home, and Baton Rouge is not a home anymore.
It's been proven, man, since she left there. It's like they changed the locks. They said, well, don't come back, and it's been rough every time she returns.
Right. And now Arkansas Pine Bluff played host to Alabama State. Alabama State went in there and won that game 71-60. And then my Bulldogs were at Itabena, Mississippi, where they played Mississippi Valley, and they went in and they won that game 67-50. So there were no big upsets on Saturday, because going in to Baton Rouge, I figured that Southern would have the horses and they would be motivated to play your Panthers. And so them losing that game was not an upset to me. All right, in the state of Florida, Jackson State went on down to Bethune-Cookman, and they won. They showed their dominance, and they beat Bethune 77-52. In Tallahassee, Florida A&M played host to Alcorn State. Alcorn State won that game 73-67. And then down at Baton Rouge, Southern played host to Texas Southern. They beat poorly Texas Southern 70-52. And then, of course, down at Mississippi Valley State played host to Alabama State, and Alabama State won that game 66-61. Then that leads us to our respective schools. Grambling played host to your Panthers, and Coach Pugh rebounded by winning that game 67-60. And then at Arkansas Pine Bluff found a way, and they beat my Bulldogs 60-57 on Monday. So that in itself is an upset. So we finally got an upset on the women's side. And with that being said, the standings look a little bit like this. Jackson State is still out in front at 12-1. They've won 9 games in a row. Alabama State is 9-4. They've won 3 in a row. Alabama A&M is in third at 9-4. Bethune-Cookman, the surprise team, is at 9-4. Your Prairie View Panthers are 8-5, along with Southern. Both teams are 8-5, and then you got Arkansas Pine Bluff at 7-6, and Alcorn State at 6-7, along with Grambling. So at the bottom, you got FAMU, Texas Southern, and Mississippi Valley. So the women's race is really for seeding purposes only. Jackson State with 12-1. I don't see anybody catching them. I don't see a total collapse on Jackson State part with a 3-game lead. I don't see anybody running them down.
Hey, Coach, do you see anybody even beating them in the regular season for the rest of the season?
I think it's going to be tough. I think they're locked in. They understand that they've already lost a game in the league that they didn't want to lose. Your Panthers, your Prairie View Panthers are the only one that can say, hey, we beat the best team in this league. So I think they're on a mission.
And, I'm thinking about when they do play us again, they're going to have an extra motivative spark of energy in our direction, and it'll be on the home court. So I just want us to be in a better position when we do face them again.
Yep. And then on the men's side, the last Saturday, down in Tallahassee, Florida A&M hosted Alcorn State. Alcorn State went in there and won the game 67-64. And I'm wondering if we've seen a crack in Alcorn's armor, because a lot of people expected Alcorn to win that game going away, and they ended up only winning that game by 3. And then also down at Bethune-Cookman, played host to wait a minute, I'm messing up here. That's a Monday game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right, Coach. You can go ahead and.
No. We need to have it in order so that we can see how things are going. And on Saturday, February the 11th, down in Tallahassee, Florida A&M hosted Jackson State. Jackson State won that game 69-58. Bethune-Cookman played host to Alcorn, and they won that game. Alcorn State won the game 76-74. Now, at the end of that game, I said, wait a minute, is Alcorn showing a kink in their armor? That's a Saturday game. So are they showing a kink in their armor by winning by only 2 points on the road? And then also Arkansas Pine Bluff played host to Alabama State. Alabama State won that game 74-71. And then down in Grambling played host to Texas Southern, and they won that game 65-46. Your Panthers were at Southern. Southern won that game 79-65. I did not see that coming. I did not see that big a point spread in that game. I thought your Panthers would do a better job. And down at Mississippi Valley, Alabama, my Bulldogs won the game 70-68 in double overtime.
Yeah, that was a good game in a lot of ways, huh, Coach?
Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And now we'll skip over to Monday, and this Bethune-Cookman hosted Jackson State. Jackson State took it out on Bethune and beat them 91-64. I guess Bethune played their better game Saturday. They spent all their energy in that Alcorn State game. And then on the other half of Florida A&M hosted Alcorn State, and Alcorn won that game 67-64. And a lot of people did not expect that game to be that close. So Alcorn might be showing a kink in the armor.
Well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate just for a moment, Coach. And I know people say it all the time, especially when you have a team such as an Alcorn. Maybe they did barely get by the Florida schools, but they did win, and good teams find a way to win, even when they're having a rough night or a rough weekend, but they still persevere and get what needs to be done and executed at the time of need. So is it necessarily a chip in the armor? And then let's also say they are the hunted now.
Right.
So teams are going to be up to play more and be more energized to prove that they are just as much as a D1 player and all-conference player, if you will. Some guys play with chips on their shoulder. You think that's part of it as well?
Yeah, that could be. And then down at Baton Rouge last night, Texas Southern went into Baton Rouge on HBCU Go, and boy, they put it on Southern 79-68. And this final score, that game, that was a much bigger blowout.
Yes, sir.
That indicate how dominant Texas Southern was in this game.
It looked like the Texas Southern that we had been accustomed to seeing throughout the past seasons. And you're like, where are these guys being? But they came in, they actually rearranged furniture in Baton Rouge.
Oh, yes. They did a lot of moving. And then down in Mississippi, it'll be in George Ivory hosted Alabama State, and he won that game 76-70, and that would be considered an upset.
Yes, sir. Another game also that Mississippi Valley had control of that game from the opening tip-off, and they never looked back. And it was a good distribution of the ball. Valley played some outstanding defense at times, and it seemed like, once again, when you got these lower seeds, lower-tier teams playing the upper-tier teams, you get a little extra motivation, because it seems like your season might not be extended to a tournament play, so you start getting a little extra from these guys to let them know that they're all worthy to be on the same run.
Right, and I think George probably put a little bit more in that game because he felt like he should have beat Alabama A&M on Saturday. All right,
okay.
And then down at Grambling, Louisiana, Grambling played host to your Panthers, and they won that. Grambling State won that game 68-64. And then at Arkansas Pine Bluff last night, Alabama A&M went in and they won that game 75-72. Very close game. Alabama A&M trailed for most of the game before they were able to catch up and pull that one away. And so that leaves the men's standings looking like this. Alcorn State is leading with 11-2 record. They've won their last 5 in a row. Grambling State is right behind them at 10-3. They're on a 4-game winning streak. Southern, after losing that game, is in third at 9-4. Jackson State, who is surprising a lot of people, next at 8-5. And then you got Alabama A&M at 7-6. Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alabama State are both at 6-7, respectively. And then you got Bethune-Cookman, Prairie View, and Texas Southern. They're all at 5-8. So this race for seeding purposes, it's going to go down to the final weeks of the season. And I'm going to even admit this. I do believe that this conference race on the men's side, it's going to go down to that final week between Grambling and Alcorn and Southern. I think those 3 teams still have a shot. Southern is a long shot at this point, but with Grambling at 10-3 and Alcorn State at 11-2, both of them, one with a 5-game winning streak, one with a 4-game winning streak, it's going to come down to that last week of the play.
Well, Coach, I'm just hoping to get some type of sustainable streak for my Panthers that we could just make it to the tournament, man.
Well, they have a good chance because when you look at it, at 5-8, Florida A&M is 3-10, along with Mississippi Valley. So they got 2 games on both of those. They're going to get in. The bad part might be if you get in at a 10, you're drawing Alcorn or the winner.
Well, wait a minute. Is it 10 now that's going? I thought it was 8 that was
8.
going.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8. Yeah. They got it. Yeah, they got to fight to get to the 8th spot, but 8 is going to end up. You battle to get to that 8th spot, and then you're still going to draw one of the top teams.
Well, I'd rather take my chances getting in. So you can't win it unless you're in it, right?
In it, right.
So, and hopefully when you look at the schedule, they'll have Pine Bluff coming into town, then Valley,
right.
That you could try to offset there and then, gather yourself together for the rest of your journey down the road. Right.
Well, you got 3 teams battling for that 8th spot. Bethune-Cookman, Prairie View, and Texas Southern. So, and I think it's been a while since both Texas schools did not make the tournament. So I don't see that happening. So, Pro Bethune-Cookman looked like through history they might be in trouble. They might be in trouble.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, I'm looking also, as I say, in the crystal ball. It might come down, as you said, to that final week when Prairie View faces Texas Southern. They might end up eliminating one or the other.
Correct.
Yes,
and
sir.
That leads us to this week's schedule. And on this schedule, to me, a big game on both sides is going to be Southern going down to Grambling. I don't see FAMU and Bama State being much of a battle. And on the women's side, I guess everybody has to try to do better just to stay close to Jackson State. But on the men's side, my game of the week is going to be Southern down at Grambling.
Okay. Now, let me, I like to put you on the spot each week, Coach. If you had to pick a coach of the year from both men and women's division, who would it be and why?
Well, on the women's side, I'm going to be honest, I would have to stay with Jackson State because she has shown her dominance. Even though she was picked to win it, I don't think teams have even been, other than Prairie View, teams haven't been close to her. So now I would give it to I think that's Coach Jackson over there at Jackson
Coach Reed.
State. Coach Reed, I'm sorry. Coach Reed. Coach Reed would be my pick on the women's side. And on the men, I'm going to be honest, my surprise team is Jackson State.
Right.
I think Coach Williams has gone in there and done an outstanding job because no one picked them to be where they are right now. So on the men's side, he would be my pick because he's got Jackson State in 4th spot, and no one expected that to happen.
Well, and that's what I was just going to say. Now, being that he came from Alabama State, and when the move was announced that he would be leaving Alabama State going to Jackson, people scratching their head. Why, Coach, does it work in one area and not the other?
Well, I think because familiarity. First of all, he's back at home, so that gives you more of a comfort zone. He's down in a state where he was a legend, where it helps in recruiting. He's got, if you look at what he brought in this year, that was through all of his connections. And now, believe it or not, he did take one of the better players with him from Alabama State. So Mo has just done it, and I just think being at home has really helped him. Has helped him settle down as a person. So you got he and Trey Jackson going back home, back to Jackson State, And I think that being in those familiar surroundings have really helped them.
Okay. Well, we'll see how they're fare out. But right now, they're in a very, very sweet spot of that division, and could realistically slip up possibly to the number 3 spot. It'd be hard to say number 1 or 2, but they got a lot of momentum on their side right now. So we'll see how this thing works out.
Yeah, they won 3 in a row, so they're playing well. They're playing well. Yes,
sir. And speaking of playing well, Coach, since we last got together, there has been history made in the NBA. The King, LeBron, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which is just phenomenal when you think about it, that Kareem, in all of his scoring, only hit 1 3-pointer out of all those baskets. That's a lot of in-the-paint work. But it's not about Kareem right about now. It's about Mr. LeBron James. He accomplished what he's accomplished, and the debate has been who is the greatest of all time when it comes to the hardwood. And I had always a third horse in the race, thinking Bill Russell, because what he had to endure, the conditions he had to go in. But it seemed like he's never really mentioned. Is always between LeBron and Michael. So my question of the week for you is, who do you feel is the greatest and why?
Well, there can be arguments made for all 3. But I'm going with the guy who has a better winning percentage. And Bill Russell is Mr. Championship. He's won more championships, 11. I think it's 11 for Boston between being a player and a player's coach. He's got the 11 championships, and I think in order to really come up with a true winner, you have to do it by errors, because things were different in different times. And they're saying that Michael went to 6 NBA championships. He won all 6 of his. And what they're saying is that, Russell won 11, but he didn't win every time he went to the championship. I like Michael Jordan because of the era that they played in. They allowed you to be more physical than what LeBron is going through. I don't know if LeBron would be as productive if this was back in the 80s and 90s because of the rule changes. When back in the 80s and 90s, there was more physical play on the basketball court.
Okay.
In LeBron's era, you can't touch anybody. They don't let you touch them up. But in the 80s and 90s, you were really touched up. They let you play more with your hands, and so you didn't have that freedom of movement like LeBron has right now. And I think one of the things that we witnessed the other night when LeBron went for the last shot, and yes, he was clearly fouled and didn't get that call. Well, back in the 80s and 90s, that never would have been a foul anyway.
Right, you don't even consider that. What are you talking about? Suck it up and go on down and play defense, right?
That never would have been a foul. So I just think that for my money, I still would go with Michael Jordan because the overall, he did it on both ends of the floor. You're talking about a top offensive player, 5-time NBA, all-defense NBA. He did it on both ends of the floor. Russell was the defensive specialist. He was not an offensive guy. LeBron, longevity has helped him break some of these records. He's played way longer than Kareem. That's how he got the scoring record. And then the changing of the officiating has really helped him.
Okay.
Because he's getting the calls. And then you even brought it up. Kareem did all his with the two-pointers. LeBron has a bunch of 3-point shots sprinkled in there with his scoring record.
Okay.
You give him the record because he earned the record. But if you go by years, compare the number of years he played versus Kareem, and he doesn't have a record in the same amount of years and games. So longevity,
especially when you factor in the 3-pointers too. When you factor in the 3-pointers too.
So longevity has helped him break that record, but it's still a record that everybody else could have had an opportunity to break, but he's the one. So in that aspect, and just because he broke the all-time leading record does not make him the best basketball player of all time.
Right.
Because there are too many there are too many games that people can bring up where he just didn't get it done in the clutch. Michael Jordan may have been the best clutch player of all time. We've seen plenty of scenarios where that game came down to either LeBron going for that last shot or God help him go to the free throw line and win a game. He couldn't do it. But that Michael Jordan lived for that moment.
Okay.
And he seized the moment.
If the errors and the rules were reversed, how do you think Russell and Jordan would do in the era of LeBron?
Jordan would find a way. Jordan found a way to win with all the physicality. Jordan would have been unstoppable now. He would have been unstoppable now.
Okay.
And the only thing with Russell now, Russell probably would have been more dominant on the defensive end, but it would have changed his offensive game. He never had the offense. He never had the offense. He was always a team player. He felt you could win with defense. And if you think about it back in his day, he never put the ball in the bleachers. He said, why am I slapping it out of bounds? Just tap it so that I can retain the possession, not give it back to them. So even back then, he was thinking team concept. Give my team another opportunity to score. So, but I think Michael may have been the scoring. He may have had the all-time scoring record if he played now with these relaxed defensive rules, because you wouldn't have been able to stay up with him.
This is true. This is true. He is, and in respect to all three men mentioned, and even Kareem, outstanding athletes, and for the most part, Coach, each one of these individuals that we're speaking of were ambassadors for the game on and off the floor.
Activists, right?
Yes, sir.
All of them looked out for more than just themselves. They looked out for society. They looked out for the human race. They did it all. They sacrificed their time and efforts. They had the platform and the spotlight, and they used it to their advantage to help advance other people. And I think all of them should be commended for that.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. And let's embrace them while all, well, with the exception to Russell are still here with us. But they did an awful lot for the game. They did an awful lot for us as a people. And let's not let their memories go in vain. Coach, it's always Go ahead, finish, sir.
No. But in all, they all contribute their way of helping society, because now Michael was not as outspoken as these other people. Michael was not as outspoken, and that was one of the knocks that they had on Michael when it came to social justice. He did not want to hurt his brand, so he stayed away from a lot of the controversy. He stayed away publicly.
He was making sure that money stayed right. That's
right. Yeah, right.
Oh, man. Well, I guess it's paid off for him, Coach, because he's the owner of the Charlotte squad. I don't know if they're going to ever win anything, but he is the owner. He is the owner. And it seems challenging, or I should say odd, or you could be that great on the floor as a player, but can't seem to get it together as an owner. What do you think the challenge is in that?
Well, your expectations might be too high. You're expecting people to play like you played, and there's not another Michael Jordan out there.
Okay.
Yep, and he may not have the right people up under him to help him make the right personnel decisions.
Hmm. Interesting to see. And you kind of hope that they will one day have success, but it's like they're a long way off, Coach.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And I got this every time I get ready to think I'm about to end because I learn so much from it. I know our listeners learn. Help me understand this. We know we talked about Kyrie. Now KD is at Phoenix. But how do these three-team trades work? Because that has always been baffling to me. Can you break that down for me?
Well, when you're looking at a three-team trade, what you're doing is you're shuffling salaries. You have to make the salary piece fit. That's why you had to involve other teams, and that's the biggest thing. The salaries and the needs of those three teams. That's what comes into play when they do that. But you got to be. It takes a special person to work with that NBA salary cap. You have to be an expert in that area, and the average person cannot figure that out. Well,
I know I'm below average.
Right.
I'm below average because here I'm trying to figure out if I'm understanding. Phoenix, Utah, and Brooklyn made a deal.
Correct.
Now, why would Utah want to get involved with a salary and they don't end up with the player that you're seeking?
Well, they have the room to absorb that salary, and what they're looking at are the picks that they're getting. Remember, they gave up them first round picks now. So now, as Utah, I can use those picks as leverages to either get another player that's already in the NBA, or my draft choices are better. That age is going out there, and he's got so many doggone first round picks. Utah, if they make the right choices, they're going to be a team to deal with for the future because of all the draft picks he has accumulated.
Okay. Do you believe Durant was worth the sacrifice?
For Phoenix, it's now level for Phoenix because you got Chris Paul, who's on the decline. You got to do it now. You got to do it now. Their big three, it calls for them to do things right now. And if Durant can come back off of that injury, if he can play like he was playing before he got hurt, Phoenix going to be a tough out now.
Okay. Now, do you have a dark horse coming out of the West?
Well, right now, they have elevated Phoenix as one of the favorites, but if you look at the standings, they would be the dark horse. If you asked this a month ago, everybody would have said the Pelicans. Why? Because Zion was playing so well. Well, where is Zion?
Mm-hmm.
He's back to where he needs to be, on the sidelines. He's in the nurse's station. So that has killed their aspirations. But now the best team in the West right now is Denver. The best team, and they proved it. They're on top. They got maybe the next MVP again in Jokic. They're the best team out there. But a dark horse with the Durant trade, you better watch out for them now.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep a watchful eye on it, Coach. And, look, I hate that I extended you a little bit longer, but it was well worth it. Was well worth it. Sir, as always, I appreciate you so much for what you bring to the table to help us become more knowledgeable of the game of basketball and just some little tidbits like you broke down for me about the salaries and this, that, and the other, because that just never made sense to me why I'm going to pay your bill after you done ran up a ticket and then I get nothing but some wishful thoughts. But you made it plain enough for me, or at least I can understand it a little bit better. I'm going to give you some thoughts and comments, sir, for this week, and the floor is now yours.
Well, Dr. Prince, today's show was a prime example of me saying to you, keep doing what you're doing because this is needed. Those tidbits and everything else, the knowledge of the SWAC, people need to hear and see that, and you're doing that. Keep up the good work. Don't get discouraged, and make sure, which this part I don't have to worry, that you being led by the right person. And God bless you.
No doubt.
You're doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, sir. I want to remind folks that basketball season, although the season is coming to an end, the real season is about to begin at the Swac tournament in Birmingham, Alabama, March 8th through the 11th. Coach, it's going to be a bunch of hooping going on, sir, in Alabama, and I know you're ready.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it. The SWAC and Alabama Junior College are going head-to-head, and they're creating all kind of problems, but we're going to get it worked out.
Yes, sir. Well, he is the guru. I'm going to call him Doctor this week. Dr. Coach Van Pettaway. And I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. I want to remind you guys that you can follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Our website is obnradio.com. Thank you so much for joining us on the Swac Zone. Stay tuned, and we'll be back for more.
Hey there. How's it going? It's me, Donna G, on the MIC, coming to you live with DG Sports and Entertainment on the Mike Prince Show. I'm happy to join in with you guys today, and I'm happy that you're decided to join back in with us as well. Listen, let's jump right into the men's basketball standings for the week. As you know, I do for the SWAC. And at one point, Southern was leading with men's basketball, but Alcorn State is leading this week, and they've actually jumped out in front, and they're leading with 11-2 in conference play. Grambling State follows them up with 10-3. Southern falls to number 3 with 9-4. Jackson State 8-5. Alabama A&M 7-6. Arkansas Pine Bluff and Alabama State are both 6-7 in conference play. Bethune-Cookman is 5-8, as well as Prairie View and Texas Southern. Next is Florida A&M. Florida A&M and Mississippi Valley State are both 3-10 in SWAC conference play. So we're wishing the best of luck to these guys. They are often on the road playing, and I know it can be pretty gruesome, as well as the women. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm not considerate of women's play. So both and all sports people who are traveling, college sports people who are traveling to play and also keep up with their work schedule. Their campus college work, meaning their classes, that schedule. That's a lot, and my hat definitely goes off to you guys. Listen, let's see what else is going on in the SWAC this week. They're actually going to be the 2023 Southwestern Athletic Conference men's and women's indoor track and field championships will take place in Birmingham CrossFit starting today, February 16th, and tomorrow, Friday, February the 17th. Prairie View and men's and women's indoor track and field teams claim the titles in 2022. So please visit SWAC.org for more heat information and up-to-date or minute-to-minute results and standings. Awesome. Also, what takes place today is the Cactus Jack HBCU Classic kicks off tonight with the celebrity softball tournament. And that's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to attending, and I will be. So you guys make sure you come out. That's here in Houston. And tomorrow, which is February the 17th, will start the actual baseball tournament play. Day one is 11 o'clock a.m. game with Prairie View and Grambling. Next up at 3 p.m. is Texas Southern, Mississippi Valley. And the game 3 for that day is JSU with Southern. That's at 7 p.m. Saturday's lineup is Mississippi Valley and JSU, Southern and Grambling, and Prairie View and TSU. So some good old rivals on day 2. That should actually be a great day. Sunday closes up the tournament with Grambling and Valley, Jackson State and Prairie View, and Texas Southern and Southern. Okay, so I am looking forward to all of those activities. You can get information at mlb.com/astros/tickets/HBCU-classic. Okay, gonna be an awesome time here in Houston celebrating HBCU baseball. In addition to that, if you guys are looking to hang out, I have some information that there's going to be a SWAC meetup by the host committees of Grambling, Jackson State, Valley, Prairie View Southern, and Texas Southern at the Spot Edo. The address of Spot Edo is 2003 Emancipation. That's Houston 77003. So you guys come out. That's Friday, tomorrow at 6 p.m., grown and 60. Y'all come on out and have fun with us. All righty, dighty. Listen, again, I know you're still listening, but still no apology from Shannon Sharp on his ESPN show. So we'll see how no direct apologies to Prairie View. Like, again, it's on his little podcast when he was with Eddie George, but we want one on the national syndicated video recording of that. So hopefully we'll get that soon. But I'm not going to hold my breath. It's okay. Just want to, make sure they know what the deal is. In other HBCU news this past week, our almost president emeritus for Prairie View A&M University, Dr. Ruth Simmons, stepped down early. She was supposed to stay on to June from past conversations and information that we received as the public, but she stepped down last week saying that low expectations and not being able to continue to run the school until our new president-elect comes to play in June. So, anywho, then the A&M system chancellor responded and saying that this was just kind of did a polished job, tried to polish it up and say it wasn't because of anything they did. It was just normal procedure, and we don't get that. But Rice University comes in and saves the day and asks Dr. Root to join them as a special advisor to the president at Rice. And so she gladly accepted that job, and I think she's going to start in March. So just some more as the HBCU turns every day. It's always something new and great. But a couple of things I want you guys to be mindful of. What's coming up in April is the HBCU All-Star Game. That's basketball. And those dates are, April 2nd. It's going to be at Texas Southern's HP&E Arena. So looking forward to that. And I also want you guys to put some placeholders for the Labor Day Classic game, which is Labor Day Classic weekend. It's going to be, of course, every year, Texas Southern versus Prairie View. It'll be here in Houston this year. But look forward to some great events coming up with that. And more can be found on HoustonLaborDayClassic.com, the Facebook page, and the website is actually coming along. It's in progress, but stay tuned. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you guys. I'm looking to come live later on today from the softball opening, celebrity softball game. So look forward to that. And we'll talk to you next week. These opinions and statements are those from Donna Glover and DG Sports Entertainment and not those of the Mike Prince. Thanks, guys. Bye.